How about now? Is it recording? Great. August 27th, we're looking at examples of if and while. And if you got some kind of condition, who cares what it is, but something, if it's true, then we do the second half. While, if it's true, we do the second half. And we keep going. These things in the parentheses, which, by the way, you might have parentheses, you might not in real life, but they are Booleans. And we had a little bit about Booleans, that B-O-O-L type, but we don't want to forget about them because they're in everything. Would somebody get the door, please? Even if you don't say bool. If you say bool, that's obvious, but even if you don't, we use true and false all the time. So let's take a minute to cover that. Thank you. Now, if you have, let's say for a minute, we're just going to write a sentence that's not code, that's just like English words. And we're going to say like house, okay? Is that a statement? Is that true or false? No, it's just a word floating around. Even if we add stuff to it, you can say like my mom's house. That's still not a statement yet. It's still not useful. It's not true or false. It's not right or wrong. It's just some words. What does it need to be a statement? What does it need to be a complete sentence? A verb. Okay, a verb. Could be all kinds of things, but we'll go with the simplest one. Is on Elm Street. Okay. Now we have subject and verb. It's a sentence. It could be true. It could be false. It could be useful. It could be not. It could be like, you know, informative. Okay. But not until it had that verb. Same thing in math. If you have like 3x plus 56, you know, minus y or whatever, nothing's happening yet. This is not true or false. This is not able to be substituted until we have an equals. And now that there's an equals, you can do stuff. And this could be, you know, whatever. This could be true, depending on what these variables are. This could be false. This could be if we solve it for x, and we could substitute that into another thing, but not until we have the equals. So when you say if something, then do something, this should be that sort of complete sentence that we're talking about. It should be something that, hey, maybe it turns out to be true this time. Maybe it turns out to be false another time. But it should be up in the air, you know, not true every time, because then you don't need the if at all, and not false every time, because then you don't need the whole line. But it should be something like, oh, if x is greater than 5, do something. And then we actually see, like, hey, is x greater than 5? I don't know. Let's check. And then our program will branch off in different directions. Same thing for your loop. If you have while x is greater than 5, do something, then it's going to happen. Hopefully it'll stop. You don't want to get stuck in an infinite loop. But it should depend. If you just say, like, for example, if you say while true, then this would happen forever. And you'd be stuck unless you have that if break. You use this keyword break that shows up in Unit 5 as well, which is your way to get out of a loop. So think about that while we're doing these. Let's get to one of the actual questions from there. In Unit 5, it has one, I think it's your first exercise, that says, hey, we want to print 2, 4, 6, all the way to 20. Okay? And you don't want to say print 2, print 4, right? You don't want to say that because that would be a bunch of lines, really wasteful and really hard to change. What if you decided, oh, I actually want to do even numbers or odd numbers instead of even? Then you'd have to change every single one. That's really ugly. But we can write it in a couple lines that will do that, and if we want to change it, we can change it. If we want to, move that to another part of the program, we can just move a couple lines instead of a bunch. We're going to say while x is less than or equal to 20, we're going to print x and then bump it up, right? You're going to print 2 and then go to 4, or you're going to print 10 and then go to 12. So I'm going to say plus equals 2. Do you guys know the plus equals thing? I think I mentioned that before. I don't know if they use it in CodeHS, but if you're ever bumping up a variable, which happens often with like timers and counters and stuff, you could say x equals x plus 2. And it'll take this, put it in put the new value in the spot, and you'll be going up. But since this is such a common thing that programmers have to do all the time, they've made a shortcut, and if you say plus equals, it'll go up. You could also do like minus equals or times equals or whatever. Now we got that, and we have to start it somewhere. We can't just say x out of nowhere. I don't think it would like that, so let's start it off at 2. And now if we run this, it'll go 2, 4, 6 all the way to 20. Unless I miscount. Sometimes you mess up the last one, like the one on the edge is always hard, so maybe this should have been greater than and not equals or something. But hey, that's what it was asking for. So you'll type something like this. It might be slightly different. Imagine that we didn't. Imagine that we just said while true, then it will go forever. And eventually they would hit an error if the number gets too big. It would take a long time since it's only adding. If it was multiplying or doing exponents, it would blast off really quickly and get to a high number and probably give us some kind of, error overflow or something like that. But the idea is, look at that, how I hit stop and it still goes for a while because it already had all these things buffered. It's calculating faster than it's printing. That's what it tells us. Now, I wonder, do they have a max printing speed so they don't want to overload our eyes, or does it just happen to be calculating on the server and then sending it to us through the internet, and it sort of like how the sound of lightning gets to you after the flash? I don't know. Today, you can work on that. Unit 5 is your current assignment, and a lot of people will not take long because it's shorter than it seems. But if you do, that's fine. The assessment with the age calculator stuff, it says 3 turned in. It's really a lot more because some that have been in there, I commented and sent back and said, hey, well, some of them I said, hey, good job. Some of them I said, hey, we want to change one thing or something. And then those guys will send it back. If it's one of them that I haven't seen yet, I'll look today. And I might put in grades. I probably will do some, but not all. And then I'll probably go back and check some of these other guys and do a grade on there as well. Last thing before I end this video is this thing, the CTE release form. If you've turned that in, great. If not, please do. Some people are asking what it is, and the idea is that CTE classes like us or some Project Lead the Way or Radio TV, some of the maybe some of the like technical Mr. Tungate stuff, they are getting funding and help from the state, and the state wants to know where their money's going and what the results are. So they're going to collect data, and they're also going to share it, meaning like you'll get stuff in the mail from employers or schools or whatever saying, hey, we're looking for people. If you are okay with that, you can say agree. If not, you can say no. But either way, we'd like to get those forms turned in. And pretty soon the school is going to ask me to pass them up to the next level, and I'd like to have them then. That's it. I'll end this video at a nice crisp 10 minutes, and we'll have our time to work.